Wel, Martin, diolch yn fawr am y cyflwyniad caredig na. Diolch yn fawr i chi gyd, wrth gwrs, am y cyfle i fod yma. Croeso i Gymru, pobl sydd wedi dod i Cymru o'r tramor, a croeso, wrth gwrs, i Caerdydd i pob un eraill. Good morning. Thank you very much indeed for the introduction and the chance to be here. It's great to see so many people. A particular pleasure for me to meet up again with many individuals who I have met around Wales in the marine energy field. A very particular pleasure to be here once again with a very old friend and Pembrokeshire legend, Nick Ainger, and of course with Anna McMorran, the Member of Parliament for the Cardiff North constituency, where we are all sat. I wanted to take just a minute at the beginning of what I have to say to look at the sort of widest canvas of the marine energy world. In the Brexit context, to which sadly I will have to return towards the end of what I have to say, I've spent time over the Easter break at the Assembly going to other places in Europe as part of our determination as a Welsh government that as we leave the European Union, we do not leave behind those many relationships, those years of investment that we have made in working with other parts of the European Union at a regional government level. I've been in Brussels, I've been in the Basque Country, I've been in North Holland. The First Minister has not long returned from Brittany, and it's fantastic to see people from Brittany here today. And I can tell you that everywhere that I have been, there is a real determination to focus on sustainable, renewable energy supplies for the future. And Wales is known and recognised everywhere that I have been. And sometimes when you're involved in something and you're eyes down in the detail of everyday work trying to make things happen, sometimes we don't recognise that the work that is going on here is known, recognised, and an enormous interest in what is possible to achieve here in Wales. And that's because, it seems to me, if you think back over many years, here is Wales, the first in, and in many ways, the first out of the Industrial Revolution. We've had 60 years in Wales of a post-industrial economy, with all the disadvantages that our geography has brought to us. Here we are, on the periphery, on the western edge of Europe, with its long supply chains, its long access routes to other parts and to other markets. But in the new industrial revolution, Wales's geography is absolutely on our side. Here we are with the enormous advantages that Wales has in water, in wind, in wave, all the ingredients that we know, if we can turn them to our advantage in energy production, in the economic development that will go alongside it, in the creation of a low-carbon economy, in the production of new and better quality jobs, we have the opportunity to lead the world again in this vitally important field. I want to say something to you about what government can contribute to all the efforts that you are making in this room. And I want to highlight 4 different ways, briefly, where I think government has a role to play. Firstly, I think it is very important that from a Welsh Government point of view, that we demonstrate that we share your ambitions for this sector and that we are ambitious ourselves for the sector and for what can be done here in Wales. Last September, my Cabinet colleague Leslie Griffiths announced new targets for energy generation in Wales, generating 70% of our electricity consumption from renewable energy by 2030, making sure that new renewable energy projects have an element of local ownership by 2020. These are ambitious targets, we know, but I think it is the job of government to be ambitious in this field, to demonstrate that the ambitions that you have are the ambitions that we have, and that together we are prepared to push the possibilities of what we can achieve together here in Wales. The second thing I think that government has to try to deliver is a planned approach in which business investment has the certainty of knowing that there is confidence in the sector and a set of rules that will govern the way in which it will develop, that you can rely upon and that you can know that that approach will underpin the efforts that you make. That's why we are determined to produce Wales's first ever national marine plan. And it's a plan, as you know, that is in draft at the moment. It aims to offer more support for marine renewable energy. We know that consenting decisions are vitally important, that they have to balance a whole series of very important requirements, but we are also determined to have a consenting regime which is proportionate, which is risk-based, and which allows the development of a sector in which we believe so much of our future might rely. So we want that to be an important enabler for the industry in Wales, allowing us to balance economic, environmental and ecological considerations. We are very grateful indeed to all of you who have taken the time to respond to the draft plan. As David said, you're never far from a consultation exercise somewhere in Wales, and we really, really do appreciate the time that people take to contribute their expertise, to contribute their ideas for the future, and given its significance, the contributions that are being made to shaping the National Marine Plan are really, really important. Let me say something about investment, as you'd expect. Substantial investment in research and innovation has taken place in recent years to help us to maximize the benefits of wave and tidal resources and to try to keep Wales at the forefront of innovation in this sector. And we are on the verge, aren't we, of seeing that investment bearing fruit, with many new cutting-edge technologies being developed, tested and trialled in Welsh waters. I've been very lucky to be able to visit demonstration zones in different parts in Wales, to meet people who are working in them, to meet the international companies that we are attracting here to Wales. There are very exciting prospects, we know, in Anglesey and in West Wales, and significant economic opportunities are already being created in those areas. And we want to continue to attract developers around the world to Welsh waters. It's great to see the Australian company Bombora recently setting up its European headquarters in Pembrokeshire. They're here today, and we are very pleased indeed to see you in Wales and taking part in this conference. As you might expect, in a speech prepared for a government minister, I have a long list of investments that have been made in the sector in Wales in recent times. I'm not going to read them all out to you because you know them all, I know already. In summary, though, in the last 2 years, between 2015 and 2017, total direct investment in marine energy in Wales grew from just over £45 million to £68 million in just 2 years. And we know that, potentially, there is a further investment of £1.4 billion waiting to be made in Wales over the next 5 years, provided we have the right market and development incentives in place. And the Welsh Government, through the work of our European Funding Office and the enormous advantages that Wales has gained through the European programmes of which we have been part, are determined to go on using those opportunities right up to the point where they are no longer available to us. I'm going to say something now about the fourth area in which I think government action is crucial to the future of the sector. And that's, from a Welsh Government point of view, it is in the way that we are able to try to influence the crucial decisions that are being made around us. My colleague, the Cabinet Secretary for Energy Planning and Rural Affairs, has, you can be sure, raised with the UK Government the subject of continued support for renewable technologies, including marine energy. We have always believed that it has been short-sighted of the UK Government to remove ring-fence support for innovative wave and tidal technologies. And as you've already heard from both speakers this morning, while the Welsh Government is able and determined to go on investing in the capital infrastructure of the industry here in Wales, until we get a proper settlement on the long-term revenue support that the industry needs, if it is to make the breakthrough into the future that we are all so committed to achieving. Unless we have that revenue support, there will always be a limit on the extent to which these breakthrough technologies can develop. Now, we believe, as Anna said earlier, that an innovation power purchase agreement is a credible way forward, which would allow the marine energy industry to compete and catch up with other established technologies. I know that there were people with Welsh interests in the House of Parliament yesterday talking with UK ministers on this issue, and together we need to make sure that we go on making that case and to be sure that the UK Government is seriously considering the benefits of IPPA revenue support for the future. The biggest area where Welsh Government's influence has to be brought to bear, of course, has to be in relation to Brexit. At the most basic level, we continue to insist with the UK Government that the promises made during the referendum campaign that Wales would not lose out on a penny of the support that we have enjoyed through our membership of the European Union is delivered and delivered in full. The reason that Wales qualifies for European funding is because we do so on the basis of our needs. Those needs will not have disappeared the other side of our membership of the European Union. And our ability to go on investing in those parts of Wales and those enterprises that offer them a successful economic future absolutely depend upon the UK Government delivering on the promises that were made to people here in Wales and which undoubtedly persuaded many of our fellow citizens to opt for a future outside the European Union. Those promises are yet to be delivered. I use every opportunity I have in my meetings with the Chief Secretary, to the Treasury and other UK ministers to insist that the things that were said in 2016 are delivered in the future that we will have together. And we as a government will go on making that case wherever we have the opportunity. And we have produced our Regional Investment in Wales paper that shows how and why we believe that we would be able to go on making those investments, working with that wide network of stakeholders that has been developed in Wales during the time we have qualified for European funding, and which forms the basis for the dialogues that we will need to go on making sure that the whole of the Welsh economy in every part of our country is able to develop a successful economic future. We also support the Prime Minister in what she said in her Florence speech, when she said that the UK Government recognised that it would be necessary to pay into European programmes of which we have been a member for many years beyond the date of Brexit, where those programmes are in the interests of the United Kingdom. And in Wales in particular, we are determined to put European cooperation programmes on that list. The work that has gone on through our interterritorial cooperation programme with the Republic of Ireland has been fundamental to some of those academic networks and research possibilities that David mentioned in his contribution. There continue to be real possibilities for Wales in building on what we have achieved already, and we are determined to put the continued participation in those programmes firmly on the UK government's agenda as it goes into phase 2 of the negotiations. In the meantime, we have to develop those intra-UK arrangements from which Wales has both a contribution to make and an enormous benefit to derive. I'm very glad today that we are able to confirm that a memorandum of understanding is being signed between Marine Energy Wales and the Marine Hub in Cornwall. Those sort of relationships between our near neighbours inside the United Kingdom will allow us to go on building on skills, building on research, helping with supply chain development, and creating sustainable economic benefits for both regions. As you will all know, the future is more uncertain at a global level and at a local level than at almost any time in our lives. Brexit is a major challenge to Wales. But by working together, by sustaining those relationships that we've built up over so many years, by making the very most of the fantastic natural resources that we have here in Wales, we remain determined and confident that with your help, we will still be able to deliver a cleaner, safer environment, a sustainable economy, and a long-term future for people who live here in Wales. Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn.